Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi, and welcome to New Life Live. Steve Arterburn here. Really glad you're here today. And joining me, Becky Brown. Becky, how are you?
Hi, Steve. I'm doing well.
Becky is just back from an experience with some women with New Life in the Tetons, and I hear it was a very wonderful experience. And Alice,
it was incredible. Mm-hmm.
Well, Alice is with us today, and if you've never heard Alice, I mean, she is a Teton. I mean, she stands tall and firm, and if you want to join our program to hear either of them, it's 1-800-229-3000. Now, the theme of today is secondhand smoke. I have really sensitive eyes, and both Becky and I are up here close, fairly close, to Canada, and we are getting in Ohio and in Indianapolis all of the smoke from the forest fires. And it's secondhand smoke, I call it. It's a different country, but it's really irritating. So bear with us here as we scratch our eyes and deal with
cough.
Yeah, and cough a little bit. It's all right. But what I wanted to talk about was this resistance that people have to one of our workshops, Every Man's Battle. And it's a tough one because shame is involved, resistance. Men don't want to, initially they don't want to, but eventually they love doing it. They don't want to talk to other men, but when they have the freedom and lack of shame, it is wonderful. And every resisting man that's gone to Every Man's Battle, as far as I know, has become a believer in the process. And whether or not they have followed through, different story. But I'm wondering if you, Becky, and Alice could give a woman some hints on how to approach her husband who needs to go to Every Man's Battle. Let's start with you, Becky, and then Alice.
Well, I tell you, we just had a caller yesterday that talked about this very thing where she had requested that he go to Every Man's Battle. And there was a big defense. And so what we told her was that it's not a request necessarily, but it is a requirement. That in order for us to go forward, I need to know that you are committed to doing the work that's needed for us to grow and heal and move forward in our marriage. Yeah. And that can be real threatening, but she needs to have the support of women around her too. But I think the basic thing is to look at what the requirement is because it's going to be better for him in the long run.
Yeah. Alice, what are some statements she could start with or middle with or end with?
Sure, I'm going to give you 3 because it can start with an appeal to intimacy. Something like, we're both hurting here, and you tell me that you're sorry, you tell me that you love me, so by showing me in action, going to Every Man's Battle, that would get us moving towards reconciliation. It's a gentler request at that level, but moving up towards what Becky was suggesting, the middle ground might be, my trust is broken, my heart is hurting because of your pornography use, and I need you to attend Every Man's Battle. And then that third level, if you won't attend Every Man's Battle, I'll need to make some decisions to keep my heart and my body safe. It's best to start at the lower level, and if you need to, work your way up. And your husband's response reveals something about the state of his recovery.
And you might be thinking, well, he's just going to say no. Well, he says no if he doesn't think you mean it, but he's never heard you say what you're going to say if you really mean it. You're going to do something different. And at every level, if you have intention and will to do it versus, I'm just going to say this and he knows I don't mean it, nothing's going to happen. But a guy also can just say, you know what, it's time. I have hurt her. I'm going to call him. I'm going to look into it. We got scholarship money available. July 8th is the next one coming up. Anyway, it's just one of the ways we push people and God and the good things away from us.
New Life Ministries saved my completely broken marriage.
This is Steve Arterburn. Do you feel like your marriage is broken? New Life can help. Our Intimacy and Marriage Workshop examines the various types of intimacy, spiritual, emotional, and physical, as well as the challenges of experiencing true intimacy.
The next Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is July 28th to the 30th in Washington, D.C. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more or go to newlife.com. 1-800-639-5433.
Don't settle for a miserable marriage or even one that's just okay. It's possible to have that great marriage you always want.
3.5 years later, we're still going strong, and I would encourage really anybody who's struggling in their marriage to go to a New Life workshop. They are more effective than anything else we tried.
1-800-NEWLIFE.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn here, and we will go to Janet. First, I want to mention that we don't just have counselors, we have coaches, and the amount of people that are getting certified as life coaches, life recovery coaches, master coaches, it's intensified greatly, and some of that is because of the International Christian Coaching Institute doing such a good job of training people and certifying folks. And that might be the answer to your problem, and setting some goals and then finding out and dealing with why am I not achieving these goals? Why am I not getting better? Really great thing to happen. You can find out about it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Maybe it's a coach that you've never gotten that could make all the difference in the world.
Steve, some of the praise I'm hearing from folks working with New Life coaches is how well they receive structured plans and then how quickly they start to experience success.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Alice. All right, well, let's talk with Janet. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is where she's calling from. Janet, welcome to New Life Live.
Hi, I had been married for over 30 years to a man that I now think is a narcissist.
Okay.
I've been away from him almost 14 years. I cannot even speak with him. I cannot even text with him. And I am struggling with a lot of issues. And I just would like to know, like, where could I get a resource on the possible effects of living with a narcissist?
Oh,
well,
well,
there's a lot of things I cannot shake in my life. And also, I'd like to address the women only because of my horrendous experience with men.
You'd like me to not say anything, right?
I would love for you to not say anything.
Okay. Well, other than saying this, I won't say anything, but a lot of people don't want me to say anything. So we're going to turn you over. Let's start with you, Becky, and then we'll go to Alice.
Well, Janet, I first want to find out, have you done any kind of recovery or counseling following your divorce?
I did not.
Okay. Well, that would be where I would start.
I was seeing a counselor for many years, so I guess I shouldn't say I did not.
Okay.
And I got so far with her, and she's the one that told me that, consider that his brain may be wired very differently. And so we did go a little bit there, but she never mentioned the word narcissist. I heard that on your program many years ago, and I'm like, oh, my goodness.
Right. Well,
so
one of the things that we
counseling for many years. Go ahead.
One of the things that we talk about on the program, Janet, is that there's a difference between narcissistic tendencies and a narcissist. So there's that. But the thing that I would love for you to engage in is recovery, divorce recovery, and your own healing journey, so that here you are 14 years past the divorce and he's still central in your life. And that tells me that there is some recovery that needs to happen. Steve did a whole series on life recovery today, or actually was going deeper, and it was on the 12 steps for divorce recovery. And Steve, I think we should send her that workbook. But Janet, that's going to be your step towards healing. The more that you can move from he was a narcissist and I can't text him, and he being central to your narrative in your head, you're going to find your new life. You're going to find the healing that you need. I'm not saying that you ignore it or deny it, but there's got to be a place for Janet to show up now. And that's where the work with the counselor and with recovery group could be all the difference in the world.
And Alice, your thoughts here.
Janet, what would you say is the strongest emotion you normally feel when thinking about your husband, ex-husband?
Extreme hatred and despising all male species. Anything they say, anything they do.
Mm-hmm. And does that limit your ability to live your life? Do you have to stay withdrawn from men in general?
I am very much not a people person, never have been when I retired. And I mean, if I come across a man, I'm not going to run across the store or turn my back. But I limit interactions. I've never been comfortable with men since I was little.
Your withdrawal from men has been a wise, protective step to take in order to get some of the healing that you need. And I hear your assertiveness in your ability to say, Steve, I really need to hear from the women. I can't hear from you right now. So it has been necessary. And I want to challenge you to think about, if you continue to strictly limit your interaction with men, you will also limit your recovery. You've heard from New Life that we get hurt in relationship, but we also get healing in relationship. And by not interacting with men, your husband's mistreatment of you still holds power over you. It still dictates too much of your life. Janet, I'm getting angry alongside you about this because he still holds a power over you, an unholy power over you. And so I want to challenge you that along with this workbook that we want to send you, your recovery will need to include starting to interact with very safe men, perhaps even finding a male counselor through our New Life network, someone we have vetted, someone we know to be safe, because I think you'll need that in order to break that power your husband has over you still.
So what would you suggest, Becky? What should Karen do? What's the best route?
Janet should
Janet.
begin
Sorry,
with
I was trying not to talk to Janet, so yeah. There you go.
Well, but listen, what Alice just said, Steve, is that she needs to talk to a safe male, and I can't think of a more safe person than you. And of course, I would have her get with a counselor and get connected with a life recovery group, because what's happening is your world is getting smaller, Janet. You can't make it small enough in order for you to live the life that God's created for you. And you've been wounded. If you have childhood wounds, that is just layered upon all the other pain that you have going on inside of you. And so that's what I would suggest as a counselor as well. But the counselor can't be about the husband. It cannot be about that. It has to be, I'm wounded. I need to get healthy. I need to get in recovery, and I need to get connected with safe people.
Now, Janet, I just want to say I want to ask you if you could just bear to hear me say a couple of things, because I feel for you, and I just want to say something before you go. Would that be okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll be here's what I want to say. As a man who has been hurt by women, I know what it feels like to be betrayed, abandoned, and a lot of other things. I also know that I never assumed that all women were like that, and I never assumed that I had to make any decisions about all women, even when I was hurting. I knew that just because I knew it. And I just hope and pray that you could be free, even though this treatment that you had from him was so bad that you're still dealing with it 14 years later. I just want to say that I'm sorry that you have been mistreated. I think if you'd listen to these ladies, not me, but listen to what they're telling you, they really do know what they're doing. And they could lead you into a different world. And I hope that you would want to live in that world. Is there anything else you want to say to them before we go? And I do want to send Take Your Life Back, and I want to send Understanding and Loving a Person Who is a Narcissist. We've got that book. I think that'll be helpful. But anything else you want to say to Becky or to Alice before we go?
Right now, I'm experiencing a great deal of frustration because of lack of availability of being able to be into counseling. It's expensive, and I know that over my life I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars in counseling. And like, where does a person even go when their resources are extraordinarily limited? And I've called you guys about counseling, and it's, I know the reality of it. So, like, where does a person like me go to even be able to access any resources?
Well, Janet,
Janet,
first of all, I want to say you're worth it. You're worth every dollar that you've already spent and whatever you will invest in the future. But for example, our life recovery groups, which even though they're not counseling, it is great support. It is great learning. It is great just insight into your healing journey. Those are free. And we can connect you with one, and those meet both in person and online. And I think that is a good place to start. If you've not done group work, that would be a great thing. If you ever want to attend one of our workshops, we have Emotional Freedom coming up later in the year. We have scholarships that are available. And, so there's always a way. I think the narrative in your head has to shift to, I am worth it. It might be a challenge, but I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to find healing and freedom for my life.
All right, Janet, if you'll go ahead.
You can also ask for sliding scale fees, and many therapists are willing to adjust their fee in order to help you, Janet.
All right. I'm really glad you called, and we're going to do some stuff to try to help you make a different approach to this, and I hope that you will take advantage of it. But there are options. That's what everybody's saying here. There are options for everybody listening. There are other people that have been stuck in something for 14 years. And it doesn't hurt the person that stuck you there, but it hurts you, and we want to get you out of stuck. Stuck is not a good place to live. Stuckies was a great roadside place to get candy, but stuck, not good. And we'll try to get you out of there. So if you call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE, we will do with you, for you, what we're talking with Janet, and that is, let's look at the options that are available. Sometimes people are so far along in something, they can become an option, if not now, eventually, and they can help other people with whatever problem they're dealing with by facilitating a group. All right, 1-800-NEW-LIFE for help with that. If you want to join us, 1-800-229-3000, 1-800-229-3000. And we have so many resources. If you were to call and say, I wonder if they have a book on understanding and loving something, there's a good chance we've got that resource. And we've got a series and devotionals, all sorts of books that could help you not live in stuck. All right, 1-800-229-3000. Let's go to Karen now. Hi, Karen. Welcome to New Life. WFIL is your station in Philadelphia. How could we help?
Hello. Well, first of all, let me tell you, I love your show. I've been listening to you for many, many years, and I just love all of you guys. You've been such an inspiration in my life. I have been healed so much through your program, especially, even though I've gone through counseling and various things of that sort. Your program has been one of the main sources, I'll say, to my healing journey. And because of that, I have been inspired because I love helping people too, and I love counseling and giving people inspiration, and your show really, and I'm not just saying this, but your show has inspired me so much that I went and got my master's in biblical counseling. I'm now finishing up a mental health coach, and then my next, I've enrolled in a class for life coaching. But what I wanted to know is, how does one become a life coach for New Life?
Okay. Well, you hear the music. If you'll hold on, I'll tell you all about that when we come back, and really glad that you called. You know, she's talking about the radio program impacting her life, and it's so wonderful to hear that. We're here because people support us, and if you can, pick up the phone, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and say, okay, here's 10, here's 100. I've been listening a while. Let me help you out. It'll make a difference. It does make a difference when people do that. So we're grateful when it does, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you want to join us, though, the phone number is 1-800-229-3000. You pay nothing. Hopefully you don't get nothing, and it's much more valuable than nothing.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
The Every Man's Battle Workshop is being held online as a one-day event Saturday, July 8th. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I have given to New Life regularly because I have so many people that I am referring to New Life who so benefit from the ministry. I just can't imagine what would happen in my area if New Life wasn't available to us.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, and 100 Days of Peace. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and before I finish with Karen, I want to remind folks that Intimacy in Marriage is coming up in Washington, D.C., and it's the last weekend of July, and it's going to be just amazing to be in D.C. Great place to have our intensive workshops. And J.J. West and Laura Mangin McDonald, long name there, are going to be doing it, and they lead Restore and Every Man's Battle, and they're very, very effective. July 28th is the exact date there. If you need something for transformation in your marriage, this might be the place for you if you make it for you. If you make it for you, it will be. I don't know of anything more powerful. You can find out about it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's the number to call. All right, so Karen is wanting to know how to become a life coach. Right, Karen? Or a new life coach.
I would like to add that I am a New Life member, and I've been one for many years. And my husband and I have attended many of your conferences. So I want to encourage anyone. The marriage is excellent. Go to the intensive. It is excellent.
Well, thank you for that. There is an organization, Dave Stoop and I started this. It's the International Christian Coaching Institute. And you can become, through that, any kind of coach. I have material there to help a person be a recovery coach or a life recovery coach, and there you're using the 12-step materials and all. But I would refer you to them on their classwork on how to become a certified either life recovery coach or life coach. And Becky, you're the one that certifies folks to say, yes, you qualify for us. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, actually, it's Erica now because I'm doing a
I
different
forgot
job.
about that. Yeah, sorry about that.
That's right.
You did it
but
for a long time.
Yes, I did, Karen. And first of all, I identify with you because I've listened to New Life Live forever. I was a New Life counselor, had a New Life clinic all those years ago. So I hear your heart at wanting to be part of this great ministry. Our coaching network is, we vet all of our coaches through the similar process as we do the counselors. So it's an application. We do some, background stuff. We'll interview you. We'll make sure that you've got the kind of the credentials that we need, and that's what it takes. And we'll get you in touch with Erica Green, and she will lead the way. But I look forward to you being part of the family.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Karen,
And, go ahead.
I had a similar reaction when I first heard the New Life radio show. It was like I had found the pearl of great price, because New Life has that biblical wisdom that I really wasn't hearing anywhere else. So I was already in my psychology degree program, but I had to have more New Life. So please do pursue that desire. It's so enriching to be more and more a part of New Life.
Well, I sure find it to be that. And I'm really glad for your call, and I want to send you a copy of, let me send you the Bible my wife put together, the one-year Bible for women, as our way of saying thanks for calling us. Really grateful for that.
Thank you.
There are things that people can do rather than just be served. You can serve. And I think that's one of the reasons that AA has been so strong, is that part of that program is to serve others. Be comforted. We are comforted so that we can comfort others in the same way that we have been comforted. That is just one of those strong biblical principles we follow. Yeah, go ahead.
And Steve, it reminds me of what you always say, that, we can shut down our critic. It's easy to criticize what other people should be doing or shouldn't be doing. But when you're serving and when you're coming alongside people, whether it's in recovery or other ways, it really helps you see the reality of a lot of people's lives, that we need to help each other. And it gives you peace.
Well, it provides you with fulfillment out of the thing that drained you, perhaps, of everything. It's miraculous what can happen there. I hope that somebody hearing this would be inspired to just look into it. You've wondered, I want to help, but I really don't have the time or money to go back and get a degree in counseling. You could become a coach. And I'll tell you this, there are a lot of people doing a lot of good in the coaching network there. I want to go back to what Janet, by the way, here's the phone number, 1-800-229-3000. I want to go back to what Janet was experiencing, because there is so much there for everybody else here that's listening to hear. And one of the things is, if you are stuck and it's been a long time, are you functioning off of either a conclusion or a vow based in fear and not in God's truth? See, when I say, if I ever say, I will never be close to another woman, well, I've made a conclusion that all women are unsafe, and I've made a vow I'm not going to be exposed to it. Is that what God wants? Well, God wants us to be safe and protect ourselves. But God doesn't want us to withdraw from life based on an experience with one defective human being. And so there is a way where I can be free from that, no matter how devastating. I can give you so many examples of people that were traumatized, victimized, and they're now helping other people because they are not stuck in that role. We can talk about this more after we get back. I think it's really important. I don't want anybody stuck. New life really is about a new life based on truth and redemptive relationship. And I don't want you to be without that relationship. We'll be back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and I just want to finish up and hear from Becky and Alice on this. But this vow and conclusion thing is really remarkable, how it can destroy a person's life. And it's good that you're protecting yourself in the beginning, but it's not good if years or too many months go by and you're still in protection mode, because there's healing and there's reconciliation sometimes can happen. And you don't have to be alone and isolated. You can be in community, and that's what we want to see happen. But Becky, Alice, how have you seen these decisions to isolate and separate impact people's lives?
Well, go ahead, Alice.
I would call it a survival vow, that in an extreme situation, it is that necessary step to get safety. But if it becomes a lifelong vow, then it holds us captive and it keeps us from healing. It keeps us from the freedom that God has for us. So these vows need to be temporary. But when our situation changes and we get out from that perpetrator, that's when the vow needs to be changed and broken in order to open up the healing process.
Yeah. Your
when
thoughts,
you were
Becky?
talking about being stuck, I kept thinking about the lack of awareness that we get into when we get stuck. I mean, it may be obvious to other people, but we can get into a place and, to use one of your phrases, justifiable resentment. You have a reason to be stuck there because you've had something terrible happen, and anybody you tell that story to is going to say, well, I don't blame you. You should never, trust anybody ever again. But that's not the rest of the story. And we want to live in the rest of the story, especially if you're a believer and you believe in, the resurrection. That's the hope that we have. Yes, it's going to be difficult, but I think the first step is awareness. It literally is, getting with other people who may be able to see what you can't see. And it can help you get moving.
I think it also applies in general when people make conclusions about all Christians, because some Christians do some wacky things and that not all Christians do. Really important to check yourself on how much judgment and assumption and presumption you have about other people in groups. It's always good to check yourself on that. Well, I made a vow that whenever Larry would come in the studio, I would conclude that he has something to say, and he's here. So, Larry, let's hear it.
Well, a couple things. First, I got good news. When the day started, we were just under $10,000 short of meeting that $325,000 match. And morning mail came in, and there's over $10,000 in it. I just want to say thank you.
I love that.
Not just thank you to these two people that sent these checks, but thank you to everybody. You know, we had $5, $10, $25 gifts, $100 gifts. We had a lot of gifts, and everyone was important, and I just can't say thank you enough. Everyone was doubled.
Yeah, really, really grateful. And if you didn't become part of that, you can always give, and we'll send you a copy of Dave's last book, Dave Stoop, Living Strong and Finishing Well, which he did. And it's always tempting to just go off the rails the older we get, or the more options that come to us, and this book will keep you on the rails. What else do you have for us, Larry?
Well, Every Man's Battle. Every Man's Battle seems to be getting harder to get men to come sign up. And I just want to challenge you guys. I don't understand what you're holding up on. And I would love to know if you wanted to reach out to me. Just tell me what's your holdup. I'd love to engage with you. But let me read you a testimony. This man recently went and he said, buried. That's where it needed to stay. That was where I needed to keep my past, so damaged, so dark, so lost and corrupted. I didn't even want to touch it or look at it or whisper to give weight to its hurting existence, so that I could pretend and attempt to live a life all the while quietly haunted for each minute and step. In group, someone brought to light my own heart what I so desperately didn't want to face. I wanted to run. Anything other than to face the hurt, the shame that ruined my own pathetic existence. Instead, I was surrounded by love in a circle of other men, lost, deeply grieving, broken, fumbling in the dark, crying out for mercy. It was no longer a suffering alone, but a suffering shared. The hurt is still there, but it's a hurt I can now face, because the Lord is with me, with strength to face evil for the battle ahead, supported and comforted by the men he has placed around me for the journey home.
Awesome. Well, and that is one of the things that happens. You get some men that are for you. You're not ashamed to share with them. Everything can change, but you have to come, and we hope that you will. Anything else, Larry, you want to say?
Just want to say you're not alone, guys. So many come to that workshop thinking, I'm the only one feeling this. I'm the only one feeling this shamed. I'm the only one that did this bad thing. I'm the only one that, whatever, fill in the blank. You're not the only one. And there's other men just like you that want to share the same thing you want to share and get healing. So
all right,
that's it.
And if you want that healing, you call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you've got a husband, boyfriend, someone you love that needs that healing, you can call us and we'll tell you the best path to get them there. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. For the program, it's 1-800-229-3000. Let's go to John, Washington, D.C., listening on WAVA. Hi, John. How are you today?
Yeah, good. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Sure. How can we help you? What's going on?
Yeah, hey, I'm being divorced by my husband, and by my wife, and what's happened to me, I didn't even think it was possible, but basically, I was accused of abuse, and they put before me this thing called the power and abuse control wheel, and she created a statement against me, and again, they surprised me with it. So she went to my pastor alone, he talked to her alone, and then they surprised me. And when I went into the counseling session, he said, you can't go home. I'm like, why can't I go home? He goes, well, you're abusive. I said, well, what have I done? And he said, well, you're self-centered. So I thought, and then I realized they were using this document, this power and abuse control wheel. As a matter of fact, the first thing that was listed is emotional abuse. The first thing she listed against me was buying your book, one of your books about personality disorder. I thought that she might have that, but anyway, I'm just putting that forward as just, an item that she put against me.
Okay, so
buying a book.
Okay, so tell us.
Yep.
She's divorcing you. Do you specifically have things that you could point to that maybe tilted things over, or is this a person who isn't really in touch with reality? What do you think?
Well, yeah, so I'm with a bunch of guys throughout the country that are kind of going in a similar situation. It's amazing how similar our situations are. So one thing that's a commonality I've found is that all of our wives have been through a lot of abuse. So it just reminded me when you were previous conversation about talking about a vow. Like, my wife was really abused by her dad, and so she made a vow, I think, in her mind never to, but I feel that's what she's doing to me as well. Yeah, but and I'm also, yeah, go ahead.
No, finish that statement.
Well, I've also been just shocked at just the one-sidedness. Like when I went in for counseling, and I've had this, again, numerous stories with other men too, the person, I said, hey, don't you even want to hear my side? And they said, no, the victim must be believed. And my point was, wow, don't you even want to hear my perception, even if you think my perception's wrong? And they were like, no, we don't.
Well, that's very, very sad that you weren't. Yeah, it's sad that you weren't listened to, but it's a really tough situation that when someone comes and abuse is presented. Becky, we'll hear more after the break, but before we go to the break, what do you think here? I mean, this is one of those situations. We don't know what reality is, but talk to John.
Well, John, I hear your shock. I mean, I hear it in your voice. And I also hear the pain. When people get married, they don't think they're going to be betrayed in any way. And even though your wife has hurt that, she could probably tell me about, you feel betrayed because it doesn't sound like you had conversations about this, or maybe you did. And I would like to hear your side of the story. I don't want to hear about all the guys that you can relate to across the country, because yes, we hear stories all the time. But I would love to know if I were talking to her, what she would say, and then how you would say in response, what you would say in response. It's just really important for you to begin to identify how she's been experiencing you, whether it's truthful or not. That's going to be a step towards any reconciliation possible, and even for your own healing.
Okay, so we'll hear those things, deal with that after this. 1-800-229-3000. We'll do another program after this. But two sides to every story. But just looking at the impact of me on you, big graduate level insight into the relationship. Whether I'm right, wrong, whatever. What is my impact on you and other people? Big giant step. We'll be back after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a new life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're talking with John, and I have asked about what is the impact that you have on her, and whether you're the bad guy, good guy, she's bad person, good person. What do you think? Alice, you have something you want to say before he does that?
Well, Don, we certainly know that false accusations take place with an ulterior motive, and that is a possibility. But we also know that remaining only in defense doesn't help your situation. So I want to share a brief example from my own life. The other day, my husband told me that I wasn't supporting him with a need that he had, that I really wasn't even listening to him well. And immediately, John, I thought of all the ways I support him and all the ways I listen to him well. And I wanted to lay it all out to prove, yes, I do support you. Yes, I do listen to you. But I know that immediate self-defense builds a wall between us because I'm imperfect and you're imperfect, John, even if her accusations are false. So when we can slow down that defensiveness and we can wonder, what are my imperfections that are negatively impacting my spouse? And we can start to draw out that story, even if the majority of responsibility falls on her abusive father. And I'm sure that impacts her experience of you. But you are also imperfect. So, John, if we've accumulated years of perhaps struggling to be able to acknowledge how we negatively impact our spouse, it can build up to the point of false accusations coming our way. So let us help you with this. Are you willing and able to talk about an imperfection? It's not abuse probably, but what is an imperfection that has affected your marriage?
I can relate to being defensive. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I wanted to hear what you had to say, and then I want to hear Becky's final comment here. But what do you think about that? And do you sense a negative impact of your behavior on her, and is it all defense, or not?
I mean, I've definitely done things wrong. Like I chose to stay home one time with the kids. I regret that decision. I wish I would have gone, to work versus staying home. I mean, that was maybe a sinful decision. But I mean, everything's held against me. And again, she's divorcing me. These aren't, I didn't, I'm just saying none of this should have been a deal breaker, right? And she kept this all inside, like her.
And you've been faithful to her, is that right?
Yeah.
You've been faithful to her?
Yeah, I've been totally faithful to her. No pornography, nothing.
Okay.
I love my wife. Yeah.
Okay, Becky, you have thoughts here.
Yeah, John, I'm so sad for you because you're in a state of shock. I said that earlier. That may be the reason why you can't access what her complaints may have been, even if she didn't say anything until the moment that you're with the pastor. And so my suggestion would be for you to connect with a counselor who will help you get through this shock, because it is shocking. You just said that you loved her. And so, even in the midst of all of this heartbreak, you've got to be able to find a way to process, because just like we said before you called, you can get stuck here in the bewilderment, in the defense. And you've got to get to the place where you can hear what she says and identify the places. And it may not be that you just stayed home. It's got to be more than that. And it's, that's one of the things about marriage. It's complex. You've got two histories colliding. And if you guys hadn't had a pathway for you to communicate about challenges, whether it's because of her history, your history, that's where you're going to get stuck. So I would just encourage you to get with a counselor for sure.
And particularly explore, John, what do you do when you get angry? Because even if you don't get loud or you're not physically aggressive, even an angry withdrawal and the silent treatment, over time, that does feel abusive. So check how you express your anger and what you do in your behavior when you're hurt and angry.
Okay, so let me just tell you my own experience, John, is that I always went to the defense part until finally it sunk in that defending myself made it worse. Whatever I was defending made it worse. That's not fair, but that's reality. And so when I got out of the defending mode and just listened, I discovered something really weird. That's all I needed to do. We moved on. And so there's some things like this that may have happened, and it's really good if you can say to her, now that she's bailed out, that you know something new at some point. That you could say, I realize this wasn't easy, this whatever. Just, to be able to see that you're not like her and you do stuff and it has an impact, and for whatever reason, the impact has led to divorce. So you say to her, I am so unaware and so sorry that what I've done has led you to want a divorce. I'm not saying you've done anything, but in her eyes, she's using what you've done. So listen to her. Ask her, what have I done?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, that was exactly what I did when she did that. So I started crying. I said, wow, I didn't know it. I've done this. But I mean, her next words to me were like, well, I don't want you to have hope for the marriage. I'm single now. Other women would be fine under you, but I'm not. I thought that was an interesting comment.
Do you have any evidence that she'd be having an affair, for instance, that she would come to that conclusion?
No, she does not. She does not. No, she does not like the idea of marriage. I mean, so even I don't think she'd ever get married again. She's even said that to other people. She said that I never wanted to get married. Yeah, so that's not an option. Yeah, she's not. That's not a fear of mine. Yeah.
Well, it's one of those situations that it's almost like impossible to help. No problem is presented on your side, and she just doesn't want to be married anymore.
Right.
Becky, your thoughts?
Right. Well, I was thinking what you just said. John, after you just said that she was done and you would be fine with other women, there's a question mark that comes up for me that there may be another person, or she may have so much trauma that she cannot be in a relationship. Here's the other thing. Do you guys have kids, John? Just real quick.
Yeah, we have 3 kids.
Okay, so here's the bigger issue. You are not going anywhere because you have kids together. So you have to do the work to be as healthy as you can, regardless of what her reactions are going to be, because guess what? This is probably not going to be the last time that you encounter this challenge. So I would suggest counseling so that you can work through, and even though she may not do it, just, say, honey, I know that you don't want to be around me. Well, you probably wouldn't say honey, but you'd say, we need to parent together, even though we are not going to be together. And that is going to be just so important for the lives of your children.
Yeah.
John,
I appreciate that. I mean, that's funny you say that because I accidentally call her honey. She doesn't like that. But again, I've been doing that for 15 years, so it's hard to stop that.
It's hard, John. I'm sorry. We'll be praying for the situation.
John, I am going to gently point out the majority of what you have explained has been defensive. You identified one event of an imperfection, so that is an area to keep working on for you, whether or not this divorce goes through.
All right. I'm going to send you a copy of Every Man's Marriage. It's a great little book on mutual submission, and I just hope there's something there that you can use. Now, we're going to, we're out of time. If you want to join us, we're going to just start up another program here right after this one, and you can join us at 1-800-229-3000. All of this reminds me of the verse, the little phrase, as much as it is me, as much as it's my responsibility, my part, I got to take care of that. Even if I've got a little part, I've got to take care of that part. And when you ask your spouse, what's that part? I want to know it more. It can open up some windows to new relationship. 1-800-NEW-LIFE if you need some help. 1-800-229-3000 for the program.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.